So does this look like a really nice wall, or does this look like a secret hideaway? So what we actually did here is we created an opening behind this wall and we patched it in perfectly. So what do we have? We have a piece of drywall. So we have our secret hideaway, and in our hideaway we have our Easy Pro texture gun. Next we're going to show you how we did this. So here we are at the second part of our secret hideaway, and I've jumped ahead a little bit because I didn't want you to go through the pain of watching me cut open the wall, but I took a stud finder, and not only did I find the studs in the wall on either side, I also found where the fire block was. So I made my cuts on both sides on the inside of the studs, and I made a cut right above the firewall. So what that's done is I've created a secret hideaway here for my Easy Pro texture gun. I hope everybody's aware, but this is what Easy Pro Texture sells. This little gun will shoot all of your orange peel and knockdown texture. So you're going to see us shoot today an orange peel texture over this hideaway, and we're going to get texture that hides it perfectly and blends this right into the wall. So since the inception of Easy Pro Texture, believe it or not, we've sold over 100,000 of these guns. All of our packaging and quality control happens here in Corona, California. You can find Easy Pro Texture gun at your local hardware center. There'll be a link up above. So we're going to hide this in the wall, and we're going to go through this step by step. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the Easy Pro universal mixer to mix my 20-minute hot mud and water. And with the mixer, you have so much control because you can get into the corners. All right, so I'm ready to start doing my repair. To clean my mixers, I'm going to push this into a water bottle and clean it. So I've got my 20-minute hot mud mixed up here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in mud around the perimeter of my patch, and I'm going to slide that in the hole, so that kind of gives me a little bit of a sticky bond to it. I can't hold the patch and my pan in my hand at the same time, so I'm going to take a little mud on my knife. Notice that I have a screw screwed into the center of my drywall. That's my handle so that I can control it moving it in and out of the wall. But as I start here, before I grab that screw, I'm just going to lay a little bit of mud right on top of the patch, on the sides, on both sides, and then on the bottom as well. And notice I've made my 20-minute mud a little bit stiff, so it's a little bit sticky. Finally here on the last side, and you can see I've got mud on all sides, and it's ready to go inside. So now I'm going to use my screw as a handle, and I'm going to set this here. And notice that I set that in, it doesn't want to slide in. Well, what I've done is I've actually set it in upside down. That's no problem. I'm going to pull it away, spin it over, put it in the right direction, and then I'm going to slide this in. And notice how the mud just kind of bulges out around a little bit, but it's okay because it's sealing up pretty nice. If I left this and just let this harden in the wall, this would be a nice solid connection, believe it or not. We got more work to do because we're going to make this a hideaway. So I'm going to take this off, and if I push too hard on one corner and I push it in, I just grab the screw, pull it out a little bit, and make sure that it's exactly flush with the outside wall. I want it to be perfectly flush. Perfectly flush. And I think I've got it. Okay. So by putting all that mud in and around, I've filled up that void, and I've started to create the connection between my patch and the rest of the wall. So let's move on to the next step, which is we're actually going to tape this up. I'm going to start out on both sides, do my edges, my outside edges. So I lay a pretty nice amount of mud on each side. I want to make sure that it's covered. I don't have any air pockets because that will cause paper tape to bubble. We don't want it to bubble, right? So I'm going to take more tape than I know I need to do both sides. And I want a nice square edge. So we're going to talk about how to tear tape, but I'm going to put my knife up and I'm going to pull down at a 45-degree angle. I don't pull straight because that's not going to work. I pull it at a 45-degree angle, it tears my tape perfect. That's a really good trick. I'm going to set this up just a little bit above where my seam is on this side, the seam between the old and the new drywall. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do that same tear off trick again. I don't pull straight up. I'm going to pull at a 45-degree angle. But I want to make a point about what I did here first. Notice that I hold on to this drywall, or excuse me, this tape, as I pull the mud out from underneath it. I don't do that after I tear the tape, because if I do that after I tear it, it'll pull the tape along with it. It's not as easy to control the tape. You don't have that tail. Once I've got the mud pulled out from underneath it, now I'm ready to cut it off. I want to make it a little bit longer, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. At a 45-degree angle, not straight back, 45-degree angle. Notice how cleanly that tears. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Put my tape up here, pull it down, and before I cut the tape off, I've got my handle. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to pull away from this tail that I have down here at the end that I'm using. Now I want it to come down just a little bit more. I need a little bit more mud, so pull some more mud down. And I'm good. Not straight, 45-degree angle, remember? Perfect tear every time, okay? So now I've got both legs on the sides. I want to put one across the middle. So I throw some mud on here and then I pull this across. What's important is I want to be able to see the edges of this tape. And why do I want to see the edges of the tape? The reason is you never want to overlap tape. You always want to go and butt it right up next to the edge of adjacent tape. And we're going to do a video on why that is coming up real soon. But for right now, how we're going to do that is we're going to get our straight edge using the knife, just like we've practiced. We're going to throw this tape in. We're going to come across, and I'm going to find the edge. I'm going to put my knife on it, 45 degrees, not straight back, 45 degrees, and I'm going to tear. And notice how that gives me a perfect cut right next to the... What did I do wrong here now? And I did this on purpose because I want to show you. So if I don't use my tail to hold, to pull away, if I pull on this, see how my tape wrinkles up? So I want to have a connection between this tape and the roll until I've got the mud out from underneath it. So we're going to take this off. We're going to do this again. I'm going to scrape a little mud off here so that we get a better connection. I have my straight edge on this already. I'm going to put that right up against. My seam is right in the middle. I'm joining the two pieces of drywall, come across. Now I've got my tail here. I can pull away from it and that tape's not going to move. I come over here at a 45-degree angle, pull downward, 45, perfect. Now I'm laid out right in between and that's not moving. I can go over it now because I've already pulled the mud out from underneath it. Now I can lay some mud on top and join all that together. Last one, we're going to do the top. And I'll just do this real quick so you can see how it goes when it's flowing the way it should. We're done with the first couple steps of our hideaway in the drywall. What we need to do now is we're going to have to float these areas again. That was an accident. Okay, so we've got two floats on the wall. Our original taping with a float and then kind of a quick float after that because I had 20-minute mud and I had some extra, so I threw it on there. We are gonna have to go over this one more time before we shoot texture, but I'm at the point now where I'm gonna help make this that breakaway hidden wall that we've been talking about. So I have a utility knife, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna kind of feel where the divide is in the wall behind, and every 3 inches or so, I'm gonna pierce the drywall. What's the whole purpose of this repair is that it's removable, right? Right now it's still wet. I can kind of find the separation between, but look how solid this is. Not even completely dry yet. But by going every 3 inches and just piercing through this tape, I'm defeating some of the strength of the patch by going through the tape. So basically what we've done is we've created kind of a perforation in that tape so that later on when we want to take this patch out, it's going to be much easier. Now that I've opened this tape up a little bit and kind of messed up my finish work, I'm just going to go right over the top of it and float it right back in. Got a little spot there where I wrinkled the tape even, no problem. Just going to flatten all that out. Now, as you'll notice, kind of hard to tell that I even perforated all that. And all that's done is defeat the tape a little bit so that there's a breakaway component to our hidden spot. But for a hideaway, it's pretty strong. Okay, so here we are again. We're going to float this patch again. And before we get started though, I want to just mention that I mixed this up with the Easy Pro Universal Mixer. This is our 20-minute mud. In that mixer, if you want to see how that works, it's a great mixer for mixing up your hot mud. It's right here in the link, and there's another video with how to do that. So here we go. We're going to throw another coat of mud on this, and we're going to get ready for shooting texture. So I'm going to lay a little bit of mud and start blending out into the wall. So as you can see, I'm blending this out into the wall. and I'm spreading out the distance from the center of the tape out farther onto the wall so that you don't see that change in elevation. So what I did there is to just bring it out about 4 inches or so. Now I'm going to hit it one more time, and I'm going to bring it out even a little bit farther. Just a couple inches or so. And what I'm doing is I'm overlapping the material that I put on earlier and bringing it out onto the wall. So that creates a ramp effect and hides that repair. We've done our float, it looks good. We've got a nice blend of the tape into the wall, but I have a line here that goes around the old existing texture that I need to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I have just a microfiber towel. You could use a sponge, microfiber, any rag. And I'm going to rub over the top of this. And you're probably wondering what that's all about. But what happens is as I ramp this down into the texture, I want this to be down lower than the actual surface of the texture so that when I spray it, it covers up and doesn't create a line. If I were to spray this line would show. And so by doing what we're doing here, we're eliminating that. Anywhere that I can see a real defined line of where my float was and where the old texture is, I'm going to rub that down so that it blends. So you can see now that that blends into the wall much better. But I want to go across the surface of the patch and get any high spots or any imperfections out. So now I'm ready for texture. So here we have our new Fast Dry 20 minutes to paint texture. The first thing that I'm going to do though is I'm going to come down and I'm going to set my pressure on my compressor to 60 psi when I'm pulling the trigger. I'm right at 60. So you want it 60 psi when the air is flowing. So now I'm ready. I'm going to hook up my bag. I've got it mixed up to the consistency that I want. So now I'm at 60 psi. I've got my material in the bag. I'm going to pull the trigger and then squeeze the bag lightly. And I'm going to stay about 3 feet back. So the 3 key components of making our texture gun work really well is 1, 60 psi with the trigger pulled, air flowing. 2 is staying 3 feet back when you start. Everybody wants to crowd the wall. Stay back, and then if you need a tighter pattern, step in once you start. It's hard to back up and not have to scrape it off, so start back here. And then the last component is how much you squeeze. You're feeding texture into the airstream by squeezing the bag, so you want to start out very light at first. So here we go. I like that, but you see I closed into almost 18 inches because I like it to be a little bit tighter than it was up here. So I closed into about 18 inches. So I know that 18 inches is about where I need to be. People often ask me what's the coverage, and we've pretty much exhausted this bag. But if you look at this, I've got about 36 inches, and I've gone from here to about here, which is about 5 feet. So 3 times 5, I've got 15 square feet, but I put a pretty heavy consistency of texture on there. But that's a true measurement of what this just covered. So about 20 minutes has gone by, and you can see, ready to go, ready for paint. I'm not going to do that because, I don't know, I'm tired. This is absolutely ready for paint. Texture matches phenomenal, and the new Fast Dry is a hit. If you have an interest in our texture gun, ready mix prepackaged texture in a bag, our Easy Pro universal mixer, or our knockdown blade, all this is available at homedepot.com in the link above. And if you enjoy the video and you'd like to see some of our others, go on up here to our link and watch our other videos. Thanks, and we appreciate your support.